Well, that's good news for Everton fans. And there's no bigger story, obviously, when it comes to breaching rules than Manchester City's 115 charges. And the hearing for that will start on September 16th. When do you think we'll know the outcome of this hearing?
Well, like you said, this is the granddaddy of all Premier League, challenges to clubs. It's massive, and we're all going to be sitting here with a big bowl of popcorn, watching the whole event as it goes on, as much as we can, and whatever leaks we're going to get from the hearings. They've said it should last about 10 weeks in terms of the hearings, so therefore you're into basically end of November. You'd hope to have some sort of indication. I would think before around about Easter time, possibly, in terms of some sort of initial hearing. And then you're going to have appeals and all sorts of things. So I don't think we're going to get a resolution for this until it could be this next season or even the season after. So it's going to be very hard to understand the whole situation. Now, of course, what we've got to remember is that the longer this goes on, the more damage is done to the Premier League and the more damage is done to Man City as well. So you've got to be hopeful that once the hearings have been handled for those 10 weeks, that both parties can find a way to try and resolve this and put an end to it. Because the longer the circus goes on, then I'm afraid the damage, collateral damage for everybody is bad. It's already a very bad look for City. It's already a very bad look for the Premier League. Having all these hearings against clubs and having to prosecute your shareholders. So I'm hopeful that somehow common sense can prevail. I mean, City have got, they claim irrefutable proof that they will be found innocent. They've got Lord Panic, one of the top KCs in the country. They're obviously very bullish on what they're going to. But I do believe, having looked at what the charges are, I think they're going to find this very hard to come out of it completely free. So I think both sides have got to find some way to reach a settlement that can be shown that there is some sort of rap on the knuckles or something even more than that for City. And let's put the whole thing to bed as soon as we can and get back to worrying about what's happening on the football pitch rather than the courtroom.
For sure. And I mean, everybody wants to know, could Man City really end up being relegated, whether it's the Championship or League One, even League Two? Is a 70-point deduction a realistic possibility? How far do the bounds of this punishment go?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a possibility. I mean, we look in Scotland and we saw what happened to Rangers where they were demoted 3 leagues. Absolutely it can happen. And there's no doubt the severity of actually putting in false reports, hiding payments to managers and to players. These are allegations that have been made. If they're all found to be guilty, then yes, that is a completely fundamental problem that they must be punished severely for. They claim these are not true, so we'll have to wait and see what that's why we've got these hearings coming up. Both parties have got a chance to put forward their case, but there's no doubt the Premier League, having given such hard punishments to Everton and to Forest last season, they've now got to become very tough with City because these are very, very serious charges.
And you took the words right out of my mouth. How angry and upset do Everton and Forest fans have the right to be if this just gets chalked off and Man City face a small fine or something that becomes incredibly easy for them to pay off?
I think there would be uproar, unless there is seen to be due process and there is a genuine reason and it's published and it's made public as to why the reason and the solution came to it. I think quite rightly there would be a big concern about that. So this is one of the biggest things, is having the transparency now from the Premier League in this whole process. And it's got to be there, I'm afraid. This is crucial to the future of the Premier League. And we've got to see the reasoning behind any decision that we come to. Certainly, Everton and Forest have felt very unfairly in the way that we've been treated by the Premier League in certain issues. And already some of those judgments, that particularly the Everton one, will have a bearing on how these hearings have to be heard. And so we will see again, just how the Premier League handles this. But there's no doubt we've got some of the best legal minds in the world on both sides. So it's going to be a fascinating challenge, and it may impact football for a long time to come.
Most definitely. And of course, Manchester City actually also have their separate legal case against the Premier League's associated party transaction. rules. That also is set to be revealed in the next 2 weeks, and City seem to think that they have actually achieved some successes in that. Are you privy to any of that information or what that might look like in terms of those successes?
No, I'm afraid I've got no inside information at the moment on that. Certainly what you're saying is that the leak is that there have been wins on both sides. So that's probably about right in terms of how that sort of issue can be handled. But certainly associated party transactions, it's a very strange area. And what surprised me most of all is that when clubs have had a chance, like at this recent summer meeting, to actually vote to try and close some of these loopholes, they refuse to. And so, these rule changes must come from the vote within the 20 members. And so I've been surprised that they haven't voted more to do that. Certainly this hearing will be the one that will give more guidance to the Premier League of what's legal, what isn't, and what's acceptable and what isn't. So we're going to see that. It could well be that City have a win in terms of the method of valuation. That would be my guess, if anything. But apart from that, I think the basic premise should be upheld that clubs should try and show some sort of fair market value and not just load up a sponsorship as a way of just bringing money into the club. To me, that's just, that's blatant, just doping, if you like, financial doping. So we've got to try and stop that as best we can.